Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see you today. Happy week after Thanksgiving. I hope you all had an absolutely amazing time doing whatever it was that you did last week. If that was getting with your family or, just hanging out by the beach on your own, I hope you had an amazing time doing it. We're going to go ahead and get started today. And today I want to talk to you about a book. It's a book called For, F-O-R, by a gentleman named Jeff Henderson, who's an absolutely incredible guy. He was actually one of the heads of marketing for Chick-fil-A at one point in time. And I want to start by sharing a story about his experience with Chick-fil-A in the moment he thought that he was no longer going to be employed by Chick-fil-A. So they have this bowl game in Georgia every single year. And at this game that they have in Georgia, it's Georgia, and I can't remember the other team that they play against. If you don't know, Atlanta is the home of Chick-fil-A. So Jeff and his team decided that it was going to be a great idea to give every single person in the stands a little Chick-fil-A cow. Little plush cow, and they put one at every single seat. And well, that went great. It looked amazing. And then the game started. Well, very soon on in that game, there was a play that the fans the refs got wrong, according to the fans, and the fans didn't like that play. So imagine what happens next. One guy decides, hey, I got this little cow. I'm going to throw it onto the field. Well, then all these other people see that that guy threw his cow onto the field. So they all decide, hey, good idea. I'm going to do that too. Well, then all of a sudden you have a delay of the game because there's 25,000 little Chick-fil-A cows all over the field that have just been thrown there because they didn't like the play. And Jeff Henderson is up in the box with the heads of Chick-fil-A thinking, oh my God, my career is over. And that's when they looked at him and said, Jeff, you can't buy advertising this good. Because it was all over SportsCenter for the whole week. And if you go and look up the YouTube video, you can still find the video out there of all these Chick-fil-A cows being thrown onto the field because they weren't happy with the result that the referees made on the field. So I want to share with you my notes from this book. And there's 4 things that you need to know what you're for. F-O-R. There's F-O-U-R, things that you need to know what you are. F-O-R. Confusing, I know. Stay with me, though. So remember this. A business is not what you tell people it is. A business is what other customers tell other customers it is. A business is not what you tell people it is. A business is what your customers tell other customers it is because it's based upon their experience. So there's 2 questions that I want you to write down today to help you determine what you want to be known for. Number 1 is the vision question. And the vision question is the one that we get to answer. In all 4 of these different areas that we're going to go through today, I want you to think about your vision question. And then there's the gap question that we'll get to in a second. So number 1, the vision question is, what do you want to be known for? Like I said, this is something only you can determine. What do you want to be known for? When purpose lives in an organization, the organization lives on purpose. Same thing with you. When purpose lives inside of you, your business will run on purpose. Now, don't confuse simple with easy. Now, we often can do that from time to time and say, well, that sounds really simple. It should be really easy. But take some time and ask yourself these 4 different areas. What do you truly want to be known for? For example, Zappos, the company who's really famous for delivering a world-class experience in the online sector when it comes to shoes, they want to be known for two things: delivering happiness, not delivering shoes to people, but delivering happiness in the box that's delivered to your door. Okay, so question number one is the vision question. What do you want to be known for? Question number two is the reality question. You don't get to decide this. The customers get to decide this, and it is, what are you known for? What are you known for? And the gap between those two is what you can then take to become better. So what do I want to be known for? You get to decide. And what am I known for? The customer gets to decide. And then when you figure out what the gap between those two things is, you can adjust to create one amazing experience. When you close that gap, you create essentially a free sales force. Now, Chick-fil-A, I would say, has done a pretty good job at this. Do y'all remember some of the memes that were going around back when COVID started, and there were these crazy long lines for going and getting tested and going and getting vaccinated? And the memes that were out there were like, they should put Chick-fil-A in charge of this process. They'd get people through the line in like 2 seconds. That was because Chick-fil-A is known for being the best in the industry, being the best in the quick service industry, and providing an experience that gets you in and out as quickly as possible while giving you something that you desire to have. So the 4 areas that we're going to talk about today is for the customer. What do you want to be known for the customer? Number 2, what do you want to be known for the team? But Scott, I don't have a team. Well, whether you realize it or not, you do very much have a team in any business that you're in. Those are the partners that you have that help you get the transaction from point A to point B. Whether that's a transaction coordinator, your mortgage loan officer, your title person, your inspector, your insurance person, you name it, guess what? Those people are a representative of you, and you want them to know what you stand for the team. Number 3 is for the community. This one is often overlooked. And number 4, most importantly, what do you stand for you? So let's start with for the customer. Customer service is reactive. Keep in mind, customer service is reactive because it prompts you to have had an experience that dictated that you picked up the phone and called a helpline, so to speak, to get some form of service because of the experience that you had. Very, very rarely in the world are people calling the customer service line to talk about a good experience. Now, so if customer service is reactive, customer engagement is proactive. Now, here is the challenge that I want to give you, and I want you to look at things a little bit differently moving forward, and it's this. In social media, try to turn your social media posts and engagement with your ideal clientele from look at us or look at me, look at how great I am, look, I sell real estate, look at what my team did, look at what I did, to we see you. I see you. Share the stories of the people who you've helped recently, not necessarily that you've just closed the transaction, but here's the family that I had the privilege of working with recently. I want to highlight them, highlight the consumer that you helped. Don't just highlight yourself. And when it comes to engaging, you're going to get a far better return, not just posting the things that you've done, but reacting to the things that your clients are experiencing in their lives. So looking at their social media posts every single day, looking at their things and congratulating them based upon what is going on in their world. And if you can find a way to take the things that they're doing and celebrate that, or let's say that you live in a community and the community that you live in has a Facebook page or something like that, take the real things that are topics in there and bring it to them in terms of like doing a video. There's a guy on here named Phil Monday. Phil Monday is really, really good at this. And one day I'm going to interview him. We're going to share some of the videos that he's done in his community because they are engaging to the point of I see you, not just look at me. So social media posts, less posts, more dialogue is what I get out of this book. The more personal, the more remarkable. So that's for the customer. Make it about them. Make it about you seeing them, not just them seeing you. It will connect with them greater. Number two, for the team. The customer is eventually treated like the team is treated. So remember this when you are choosing your partners in success in your business. If they're not treating you well, guess what? They're not going to treat your clients very well at some point in time. And vice versa. If you're not treating them well, they're not going to treat your clients very well at some point in time in the transaction. And there's a gentleman named Frank Blake, who was the CEO of Home Depot from, I believe it was 2007 to about 2014. Well, Frank took over Home Depot when it was not doing so well. And the corporate executives were seen as those people who we have to report to, but they really don't care about us. And he realized that there was a problem with this. So Frank went into the actual Home Depot stores as a CEO, and he wanted to get to know the people who are actually running the day-to-day operations of every single one of those stores. And every single Sunday afternoon, Frank would sit down and write 200 handwritten notes. That makes my hand hurt just thinking about it. But he would write 200 handwritten notes from to top level executives all the way down to hourly employees in the Home Depot stores. And one day he was visiting a Home Depot store, and a gentleman comes up to Frank and says, Frank, thank you so much for the handwritten note that you gave me. And I've got to ask you, would it be possible to get another one? And Frank looks at him and says, well, yeah, of course I can give you another one. Out of curiosity, though, why do you want another one? And he says, well, I got the note and I took it home and I showed my wife. And my wife said, well, that's awesome, but there's no way the CEO of a company with over 100,000 employees actually took time to write you a note, honey. I love you, but that just didn't happen. It's probably printed off of a printer. And he's like, maybe you're right. So then he reaches out, he shows the note to a couple of his friends, and his friends say exactly the same thing that his wife said. It's probably not real. So he did a little research, because back in 2007, remember, Google was still a thing. It was still in its early stages, but Google was a thing. And it turns out that his Google research led him to find out that you can tell if a note is real simply by running it underwater. If the ink bleeds, guess what? It's real. If it doesn't bleed, it was printed off of a printer. And so he looks at Frank and says, well, Frank, it bled. And that's why I wanted to know if I could have another one, because it really meant a lot to me, even though everyone around me told me that it was probably not real. So I share with you that because there is power in doing that. And that was Frank's realization that the culture was even worse off than what he believed it to be, because they didn't believe that the people that they were working for were authentic. So in the transactions that you're doing every single day, make sure you have authenticity with the people that you're working with. And if at any point you ever don't feel sorry for or have empathy for the people who you're working with, who are going through one of the biggest transactions that they're ever going to go through in their life, here's what I want you to do. I want you to sell your house and buy another one and move, because it will remind you very quickly what the people that you're serving are going through. So for the team, remember, the customer is eventually treated like the team is treated. Believe abundantly and tell the people who you are partnered with, those people who are on your team, that you believe in them. Number 3, for the community. Here is a staggering statistic that I learned from Jeff Henderson. 75% of millennials expect brands to contribute to the community that they're in. Only about 40% of companies actually give back to the communities that they're in. 75% of millennials expect that to happen, but only about 40% of businesses actually do. Now, this is an important thing to remember when connecting with the millennial generation, which, by the way, makes up 40% of all consumer transactions in the United States today. 40% of the entire market is millennial driven. They've grown up with companies like Tom's Shoes. Well, what does Tom's do? Well, Tom's, every time somebody buys a pair of shoes, they give a pair of shoes. Bombas Socks, another company that's really popular with that generation. Every time somebody buys a pair of socks, they give a pair of socks. So in today's world, doing good is actually good for business too. The question that you can ask yourself is this: if you closed down today, would the community even notice? Another way to put that, if you closed down today, would your database even notice? Let's make it even more simple than this. If you closed down today, would those people that you have as contacts in your phone even notice? So what are you doing to give back to the community that you serve? Because 75% of people expect you to give back. That is a massive, massive number of people. So remember that question: if I close down today, would the community even notice? And then use that when you're answering the vision question of what do I want to be known for the community. All right, and then finally, for you, number 4 is for you. The best gift you can give your business is a healthy, inspired you. What do you want to be known for yourself? What do you want to be known for your children? What do you want to be known for in life in general? Every single day is not going to be a cakewalk. Some mornings you will wake up and you will have to fight to be inspired for that day. I would encourage you to do it anyways, because having a healthy, inspired you puts all of those other 3 things in line. You can't have the first 3 of being for the community, for the team, and for the customer without being willing to be for yourself. So with that being said, what are you hearing? What are you taking away from our conversation today about being for the community, for the team, for the customer, and for you?
Scott.
Yes.
Morning.
Good morning.
So, such a great topic and a great book. If you haven't read it, please get this book. But in all facets of life, no matter what, what you believe in, what philosophy you practice. If it doesn't start with you internally and then work your way out, it's like for your business, like if you wake up and you have that mindset, like, and we all wake up those, even myself, I wake up, and I just don't want to get out of bed and do anything. It's got to start there, because if you don't get up and do anything, then nothing's going to happen with your business, with the people you work with, your vendors, your your co-agents. So yeah, it just, for me, is the first place to start for everything.
Love that. And you're right. We have to take a look in the mirror from time to time and say, all right, buck up, Buttercup. Let's make it happen. Right. All right.
Yes, Scott. And to her point, and somebody I was talking to last night said, 95% of issues can be solved if you just show up. If you just show up.
Yeah.
And we all forget how simple that is, right? It's like, just show up.
Yeah.
Things can be handled, and you're going to want to handle them. When I was to his point, I said, you're right. Because if you show up, then you get that energy and you're like, okay, let's go do this. Yeah.
And by showing up, it allows conversations to be had that need to be had. And those a lot of things can't happen unless you do show up. And if you depend upon text messages or email, there's a lot of things that can get lost in translation with the simple misuse or accidental placement of a comma. All of a sudden, it means something totally different, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
One of the things I like about this book, and I read it through the when I'm driving around, I just listen to it, listen to the book. So what's cool about it is whenever you take a chance to ask other people what they think you are for, it's either very enlightening and can be very like, you're not quite sure what they're going to say, but you want to know what their perception of you is and what you stand for. Yeah. And it's really very I've done this a few times with my family members and just like, close friends of mine and stuff like that. And it really kind of solidifies what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that it's making the right impact in the world around you. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's a great question to ask, just even your own friends and family and close people to you.
Yeah. That reminds me of, I think you were on the call, Matt, at the beginning of the year, when somebody asked John Maxwell what his definition of success was. And he responded and said, my definition of success is having the people who I'm closest to love and respect me the most, because then it means that I am truly 100% authentic, because if they see me that way, everyone else will definitely see me that way, because I am a whole person always acting the same way. And one of the greatest things that we can do, you're right, Matt, is ask people, what am I good at? What do you see me? How do you see me? Be careful though. Make sure you're asking the dream believers those questions, not the people who are always walking around with a black hat on saying, everything sucks, I don't like this. From time to time, you might want to ask them if you need a more biased perspective or a completely unbiased perspective. Yet on those days where you're not feeling inspired, ask the question that Matt just said. Hey, when you think of me, what am I good at? Or what do you think about when you think of me? Because it can really fill you up. All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, I appreciate every single one of you joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And as always, don't forget, everything you want in life is right outside of your comfort zone. Going to have to get just a little bit more uncomfortable today in order to make it happen. I appreciate you all, and I will see you here in Coral Springs for the team meeting today, and everywhere else. I'll see you again soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.